Hey Thrive family, Pastor Ed here. Just wanting to take a moment and give you an update after our recent elders meeting and where our plan is for what is next for the season of our church. One of the things I just want to remind you of is that our mission, leading people into a growing relationship with Christ, did not stop just because in-person services stopped. It has kept going through all of this. Whether it's church at home, whether it is the Rock, the youth kids gathering online, whether it's our prayer time, whether it's other times of reaching out to one another. This mission has continued through all of it, and it will continue in this next season of life as a church. We've also used this phrase. You've heard me say this a couple times now. We want to move forward when it's the best for those who can come and the best for those who can't come. And this helps us then begin to evaluate and help us understand where people are at and what is the next move and how we move forward as a church. So here's what we know. And we want to thank you for those of you who took our survey, because that survey helped give us some information. Information that as we talked and prayed through and made a plan, we could reference, hey, we know this about our people. And so probably about 45 of you filled that out. And here's what we learned from that survey. That half of you are like, just open the doors and let us know. Right? Half of you are just like, let us know when, and we'll be there. We're ready. Well, we want to be back in community again. We want to gather again. We want to be in the building again. And you are ready to do that. But half are not. Half are cautious, half are thinking it might take time. When we asked you to consider things such as local businesses opening, some of you gave answers that are consistent with it's not time yet. It hopefully will be time soon, and you're just being cautious. Some of you can't come because you have those conditions that make you the most vulnerable. And we understand that. And that's why we have always made that statement. Here's what we also found out. That half would just stay at home if a mask was required. And most of you are just like, you know what? If a mask is required, I'll just watch from home. I'll just do that. I don't know if I'm ready to come and gather and to wear a mask, which then again helps us to evaluate, okay, so are we creating the best environment for those who can come, and are we creating the best for those that can't come? That now you see how that helps us evaluate and helps us to see where we're at. So most of you realize, I mean, this was just universal across. Things like hand sanitizer, social distancing, limiting the passing of anything would be standard when we came back to gather. We also, many of you said, you know, if there had to be another time, you would be willing, because you just look forward to gathering. We miss one another. And that's supposed to be the way it is with family. We're supposed to miss one another and look for the day that we can get back together and join back together again. So, what does it now look like moving forward? Knowing what we know, looking at what's going on, and making a plan to say, how do we do the best for those who can come and the best for those who can't come? So, listen closely. There'll be a document attached to this, and we'll be sending that out as well through email and on our Facebook group so that you can read that as well, so you know which group and category you're a part of and what we are talking about. But for those of you who I'm ready, right? You're ready to come back. Starting next Thursday, June 11th, we are going to have Thursday Night Live. That means we're inviting you to our recording. The recording time that we have to put together our church at home, we're inviting you to be a part of that. So those of you who want to gather, here is your opportunity to come together and gather. We have worked on this place to make sure everything is as clean as possible and want to continue as that. And so, we're inviting those of you who are like, I'm ready to come now. Here's your opportunity. Come, be a part. Gather together, talk together, share together, worship together. We're going to open God's Word together, and we're inviting you to be a part of our recording time that we have to put together our church at home. Now, for the opportunities for those who can to gather, and to continue church at home for those who can't. For those of you who can't because of what we talked about before, you're cautious, you're uncertain, you have underlying conditions, and you really shouldn't be in a crowd, especially indoors. We understand that. That's why it is the opportunity for gather for those of you who are ready and are able to, and for those of you who can't, we are continuing to put together our church at home so that you have an opportunity to worship together and experience church. So we also are doing this. We are working on some outdoor opportunities for some gatherings over the next few weeks. Here's what we know. We know that the virus is very different outdoors than in an indoor confined space. We know that. And so if we can offer some outside, small gathering opportunities that you can come and be a part of, it might prepare you for the next step of an in-person gathering inside. So we're trying to figure those out. And if you have any great ideas, please let me know. Some of you have already been thinking about it. Some of you have given suggestions. Thank you for those who have done that. We're just looking for that because that would give us an opportunity for people to take another step closer to being back to in-person Sunday services. And that's what I want to end with. Sunday in person will return. It will be back. It will be back. Okay? But this is a step we can take in that direction. For those of you who are excited and you can't wait and you're ready to gather again, we're inviting you to come next Thursday night, 6 o'clock, and to gather together. Our service will be about an hour, and we welcome you to be a part of that so that we can fellowship together and have community together and worship together and do church together. We're inviting you to do that. And for those of you who can't, church at home continues. Please engage with church at home. Don't let false guilt or fear rule your hearts. Nobody thinks anything bad about the decision that you're making. This is a time for grace. This is a time when we as a church get to practice this thing called grace. And grace gives space for people who are trying to figure things out. It gives space for people, it prays for one another, and it helps one another out. Realizing we're not all in the same position, the same place when it comes to this. And we're going to show one another grace. That those who can gather, we're going to show grace to one another as we gather together, and we're going to have grace for those who can't. And the same goes the other direction. We're going to show grace to one another, and we're going to encourage one another and pray for one another through this. That's what's going on. You can check out the document enclosed as well. Please let me know or one of the elders know if you have any questions about what we just shared and what we talked about. But for those of you ready, join us next Thursday night as we gather together, as we have service together, and as we record for our church at home. We love you guys. We've been praying for you this whole time, asking that God would continue to help you to grow closer and closer to Him.